This recording will begin Chapter 15 for the nervous system and behavioral health. So our first objective is to pronounce organs and anatomic structures of the nervous system, but first let's go over the anatomy and the function of the nervous system. So the nervous system consists of the brain, spinal cord, and nerves and may be divided into two parts, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The CNS consists of the brain and spinal cord. The PNS is a collection of spinal and cranial nerves whose branches infiltrate virtually all parts of the body, conveying messages to and from the CNS. So now the function. The nervous system forms a complex communication system allowing for the coordination of body functions and activities. The nervous system can be divided into two parts from a functional standpoint. The somatic nervous system is responsible for sending signals to the skeletal or voluntary muscles and receives input from the senses. The autonomic nervous system generally operates on a subconscious level, meaning it governs itself without our conscious knowledge. It sends signals to the involuntary tissues, which include smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, glands, and fat. These tissues have receptors that send autonomic signals back to the brain and spinal cord. As a whole, the nervous system is designed to detect changes inside and outside the body, to evaluate the sensory information, and to send directions to muscles or glands in response. This system also provides for mental activities such as thought, memory, and emotions. Alright, so now let's start looking at the organs and the anatomic structures of the nervous system. So first we have the brain, contained within the cranium, the center for coordinating body activities, and comprises the cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. The brainstem contains the pons, medulla oblongata, and brainstem. Cerebrum, largest portion of the brain, divided into left and right hemispheres. The cerebrum controls the skeletal muscles, interprets general senses such as temperature, pain, and touch, and contains centers for sight and hearing. Intellect, memory, and emotional reactions also take place in the cerebrum. Ventricles, cavities or spaces within the brain that contain cerebrospinal fluid. The CSF flows through the subarachnoid space around the brain and spinal cord. Cerebellum, located under the posterior portion of the cerebrum, assists in the coordination of skeletal muscles to maintain balance, also called hind brain. Brainstem, stem-like portion of the brain that connects with the spinal cord, contains centers that control respiration and heart rate. Three structures comprise the brainstem: pons, medulla oblongata, and midbrain. Pons literally means bridge. It connects the cerebrum with the cerebellum and brainstem. Medulla oblongata, located between the pons and spinal cord. It contains centers that control respiration, heart rate, and the muscles in the blood vessel walls, which assist in determining blood pressure. Midbrain, most superior portion of the brainstem. Cerebrospinal fluid, clear, colorless fluid contained in the ventricles that flows through the subarachnoid space around the brain and spinal cord. It cushions the brain and spinal cord from shock, support, transports nutrients, and clears metabolic waste. Spinal cord, passes through the vertebral column extending from the medulla oblongata to the level of the second lumbar vertebrae. The spinal cord conducts nerve impulses to and from the brain and initiates reflex action to sensory information without input from the brain. Meninges, three layers of membrane that cover the brain and spinal cord. There's the dura mater, which is the tough outer layer of the meninges. Now, I've always heard it called mater, but they are pronouncing it or showing the pronunciation as mater, so we will go based on that pronunciation. Arachnoid, delicate middle layer of the meninges. The arachnoid membrane is loosely attached to the pia mater by web-like fibers, which allow for the subarachnoid space. And then pia mater, thin inner layer of the meninges. And again, I've always heard it called pia mater, but again, we'll pronounce it based on the pronunciation guide through the book. The nerve, cord-like structure made up of fibers that carries impulses from one part of the body to another. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Ganglion, or ganglia for plural, group of nerve cell bodies located outside the central nervous system. Glia, specialized cells that support and nourish nervous tissue. Some cells assist in the secretion of cerebrospinal fluid, and others assist with phagocytosis. And then neuron. nerve cell that conducts nerve impulses to carry out the function of the nervous system. Destroyed neurons in the central nervous system cannot be replaced. So let's look at the next few slides. So of course this is the CNS, the central nervous system, which contains the brain and the spinal cord. Here is the entire nervous system broken up into the central nervous system and then the peripheral nervous system, or your nerves. Your cerebrum and ventricles here. Then the brainstem, which includes the pons, medulla oblongata, and midbrain. Here are the spinal cord showing layers of the meninges. Here are all your cranial nerves and where they're located. And that will end this recording.